Right to that. Uh, Good morning, good people. We seem to be a select bunch this morning, but nonetheless, we will continue as per. I have as something rather jolly this morning. I have, if you remember the old series, 20 questions,
Yes, yes.
I have those for you. 20 questions,
Ah,
which might amuse and humor you in the sense that this is nothing too heavy. I'm not doing Brain of Britain or something like that. This is far more kind of the inner workings of a slightly mad Quaker called Bray. Anyway, back to today. Um, are we ready? Number one.
how would you like us to? Should we? Is it a question? Do we speak as soon as we're ready, or
No, if you can record your answer somewhere upon
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
like with a pen and
yes,
um,
okay,
a
yeah,
chisel and a block or something to
okay,
to mark your answer in,
okay,
and I can either stop at number 10 and go, these are the answers, or I can go through the whole lot and we could do that. Um,
okay,
shall I stop at 10?
yes. Yeah.
Right. Number one. My brother is one of the founder members of CAMRA, CAMRA. What do the letters CAMRA stand for?
Okay. Do we have a little break now while we think about it, or do we have a break to think about several at the end, or what? How would you?
Well, I thought I'd do 10 and then
And then, okay,
do the answers for those 10. And you
okay.
can go, oh, I
All,
didn't know
all I can say, Ray, is my brother is an avid member.
that. Quite. Yes.
I shan't say what of.
Well, quite.
I'm still worrying about. I've only got one word. Okay.
Number two. Who wrote the book Lark Rise to Candlefoot?
Can you repeat?
Who wrote the book Lark Rise to Candlefoot? Ford. Candle and Ford. It's been on telly, so. Number three. From what country did the poet W.B. Yeats come from? And I will give you an extra point if you can, if you know what the words, what the initials W and B stood for. Sneaky, eh? What? We're going like a rocket here in the moment, are we not? Number four. Who wrote The Wind in the Willows? Right. Number five. Who was A. Milne's son?
I used to know this one.
You should.
I did.
And as I once said in a quiz, no using mobile phones.
I'm not at a stage where I'm able to do it purely with my brain. So I can't reach the phone from here. So it's tempting, though, isn't it? You get so used to it. You know.
I once ran a pub quiz, and I had to say that, and I said, you will lose points if you do that.
I'm here to help whenever you need.
So
Take care.
I was just firing up ChatGPT to see if ChatGPT a quiz. Can you not answer anything but just listen to the questions and see if you can if you know them, but don't tell me or anybody, okay? An experiment.
Naughty.
Okay.
Number 6.
So,
Which
feel free to ask.
Viennese? Sorry.
It's AA.
Which Viennese composer was called the King of the Waltz?
King of the
Waltz, a dancer waltz.
right. Right.
Number 7. This is an amusing one. You may or may not you know this or you don't know this in that sense. How old is the playwright Alan Bennett? He was on telly quite recently, chatting.
To the nearest 10 years.
I will give you that. Yes. I will give you that.
That's not fair. To the nearest 5, maybe. Come on.
Nearest 1, yeah. 10's
What do
too
we
generous.
think, friends? 5 or 10?
Just to the nearest person.
Or, yes, if nobody gets it, the nearest then, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'm just an enormous fan, so I know lots about him. Number 8. Who wrote the songs? And I nearly can't resist singing this, but I won't because my voice isn't too good at the moment. Who wrote the songs A Room with a View and Mad Dogs and Englishmen? I couldn't resist that a little bit. Anyway, number 9. Now, this is for all radio listeners of, could I say, our vintage. Name any member from the radio comedy show called Round the Horn. Anyone you can remember who was in that groundbreaking show? And as we rush to the last question before I give you a few answers, number 10. Who, as a group, this is, I would say, who starred in the films A Night at the Opera, A Day at the Races, and A Night in Casablanca? Which group did that? Ho, 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 and ho. Now, are you ready to be amazed at how much you really did know of that? Because I think you all know most of them.
You're thinking
Who
of
know?
collectively, maybe. Individually.
Yes, maybe.
Number one. The letters of Canberra stand for Campaign for Real Ale. Campaign for Real Ale. And if you got it wrong, Barney, bleh.
Sorry, folks. My internet is a bit unstable.
Oh, right.
So I know it's camera, but I guess you already said that.
Yeah.
Campaign for Real Ale.
Yeah.
That's he's very passionate about it, is my brother. Who wrote the book Lark Rise to Candleford?
Can't remember. Flora.
Flora Thompson.
Ah, I got the Flora.
Wow.
Wow.
Can we
You can
give him half a
imagine.
mark?
Absolutely.
You could get an unreal mark. Right. From what country did the poet W.B. Yeats come from? He was Irish.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
And
town?
I don't know. I
Oh,
know
you were
he's
going to get to
Irish.
another point if we knew something.
Yes, another point was, what does WB stand for? Does anybody know that?
I don't know, but W might well be William, but I don't know.
But
W
it's
is
not
William.
common. Brace or it's a very unusual first name.
It was Butler.
Hmm.
Butler.
Right.
Buttler. William Butler
Yeah.
Yeats.
Yeah, and you usually think of that as a surname, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wrote Wind in the Willows?
Can't remember.
Kenneth Graham.
Yeah.
That's quite famous for it. Sold lots and lots and lots of books. It still does. Because it's a wonderful story.
Yes. Yeah.
I just read a lovely children's version the other day, full of illustrations and very, very abbreviated, but such fun. Such fun.
So it's a wonderful story.
Wow.
Who was A. Milne's son?
Well, I can only think of one possibility. That's it. Sort of, kind of has to be wrong. Christopher Robin. Really? Okay.
It was right. It's Christopher Robin Milne, and he dropped the Robin thing, their name, later in life, after having a protracted row with his father about how his family had ruined his life, basically, by parading him around when he was 5 or 6 as Christopher Robin in the stories, and he was mercilessly bullied at boarding school for it as well.
Ray, as Arbeiter, can I ask you? I wrote Robin, but I didn't write Christopher Robin.
Oh well.
I think you should.
What do we think, folks?
Give her a half.
Another half for Hattie makes a whole one.
All right, thank you. I did meet him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
empty. God, I'd love to have done. Got
nice
a complex character. Which Vienna composer was called the King of the Waltz?
it's got to be Strauss, hasn't it?
That's Johann Strauss.
Yeah, because I don't know which one.
Strauss, there's a lot of Strausses.
Crossed it out.
I was.
I crossed out Schubert and crossed out Schumann. What have I missed? Strauss.
Strauss.
Another S.
Right. I only knew it because I was forced to play a simple version, being taught the piano as an unwilling child.
Ah,
But you see, it's a benefit in the end. I remember
Patsy, what's the Strauss first name?
Johann.
Johann.
Oh, Johann Strauss, that one. Okay.
yeah.
Richard knew how to. There were two other Strausses who knew how to write waltzes, which Richard was famous. But I think Johann had a brother or a son who wrote some waltzes as well.
I knew there was more than one, but
yeah.
That was when I momentarily played with Chat GPT, and the answer was Johann Strauss II.
Ah.
There was two of them. Yes.
The second was known as the
Right.
something.
Number 7. How old is the playwright Alan Bennett? Any answers, please?
90.
95.
I got
83.
He's 91.
Ooh.
So am I the nearest with 90?
Yeah. You certainly are.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, he was. He's 91 this year, and has said that he won't be writing any long books at the moment because he wants to spend more time with his partner Rupert, who is saying that they should be doing other things now than actually be involved with that type of stuff. So
yeah,
he wrote something along the lines of.
Oh, that's all. He's gone.
That's his latest.
Ah, right.
Which is only, as you can see, only quite a thin book, but it's interesting.
Is it autobiographical?
No, it's a story about old people in an old people's home. There's a picture on the back.
Golly, he's doing well. He doesn't look like,
does he?
Doesn't look it. No.
Anyway, number 8. Who wrote the songs "A Room with a View" and "Mad Dogs"? An Englishman who wrote in the midday sun.
Old coward.
No, coward.
Well done.
I guess that.
It had to be coward, and in that sense.
Yeah.
Horace Millie Rabbit interprets that anyway. As I said, singing, not at the moment. Right. One of my favourite ones is this question. Sorry about that. Somebody's going to decide to have a little riddle. Right. Name a member from the radio comedy show Round the Horn. I will give them.
I wonder if anyone else has put down Hugh Paddock.
I couldn't remember the names of any of them, and I did used to listen to it. I couldn't remember. I saw
such a wonderful show.
I got 2. I'm wondering if I'm thinking of the wrong show, but certainly Kenneth Horne.
Yes.
Yep.
And most likely Kenneth Williams.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of any others.
Kenneth Horne, Kenneth Williams, Hugh Paddock, Betty Marsden.
Oh, that's the one I'd forgotten.
Bill Pertwee, Douglas Smith, who was the announcer.
They sound so familiar, but not even one of them could get through the fog called my brain.
We only get 1 point for one person, don't we?
We do, yes. And music was by a group called the Fraser Hayes 4.
Oh, right.
Me?
Yeah, everything on the BBC had to be variety. They always had to have.
Did. Right. Question 10. And if you don't know the answer to this, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Who starred in the films A Night of the Opera, A Day of the Races, and A Night in Casablanca?
Marx Brothers.
Marx Brothers.
Oh.
I have all of their films, on DVD. They just they were wonderful, very, very, very silly.
I find it really frightening. I can remember. I have seen all three. I remember them, but I can't get a single name for them. It's really frightening. I'm going to go away and do my exercises. Sorry.
One of Groucho Marx's, what I thought humorisms was that he was told that as he was Jewish, he couldn't join this big club, which was quite a famous club. And he said, well, my daughter is half Jewish, so can she go in the pool up to her waist? I like that. Very, very silly.
Yeah.
So we've reached, that was number 10. So how do we do, folks? Good, bad, or?
Not so
Terrible.
Barney's done exceedingly well.
Yeah, only got 9.
Whoa.
I'm going to be bottom, and I can tell you this at once. But
if you're bottom of the class, will you?
I am today. I really am. I don't know why, but my brain just wouldn't do it, So I got 2.
Hey, you got 2!
You can't lead to 2 of them. Well, back to the quiz. And I should be surprised, Patsy, if you don't get this one.
Okay, hold on. It's just my brain isn't working properly.
Good test.
Anyway, give me a second. I'm just getting another bit of paper up.
Right.
That should help the brain.
Okay.
Right. Here we go again, folks.
Yeah.
Which comedian was famous for saying the phrase, George, don't do that? It was stories of kind of infant schools.
You don't need to highlight that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm now halfway to the answer. I've
done it now, I'm afraid.
It might come to you.
Oh.
I've got a brain fade on that one, Patsy, so you're not the only one.
Oh, I like that. Brain fade. That's neither black nor white.
Yeah.
George.
I mean, to be the good thing about it is my brain fades in and out, so it does. Sometimes a great load of information comes back. But anyway, sorry.
Number 12. Who wrote The Adventures of Tintin? And it was just one word. Because it usually goes, blah, The Adventures of Tintin. And if, unlike me, you know a few pop songs, this one is just for you. So I thought I'd throw one in, because classical old me, says, go do that, do that, do that. This is a pop song. Quite a famous pop song, I am reliably informed. Who sang the pop song Poker Face?
Yeah.
I had to look this one up.
Well, It might be famous, but not sure because it's famous.
Right. Next question might amuse. Which organization resides at 173 Euston Road, London, NW1 2BJ?
Quite a few on
Right,
Euston Road.
Yes, on Euston Road. I say no more than that, with a smile on my face. Number 15. This is a question in two parts. How many cents are there in a dollar?
Come again?
How many cents, CENTS, are there in a dollar? And likewise, how many nickels are there in a dollar? So I thought the first bit was so easy that it should have another bit tagged onto it. Right. The word. 16. How old is the radio series The Archers?
Ray,
Yes, Hattie.
I'm back online. What was the question, please?
Right. How old is the radio series The Archers? Billy Connolly reckoned that the tune for The Archers should be the national anthem. He said that God Save the Queen was so boring. They ought to have yumpy dumpy dumpy people marching along going yumpy dumpy 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 dumpy. I thought a very good idea. I'd like that.
Very reassuring, the Archers there. I was
Oh,
extremely sorry when they got rid of Mrs. Dell's diary for the same reason. One didn't necessarily listen, but one liked to know it was present.
that's part of the English, part of being English.
Yes,
That's the Archers and Mrs. Dale's diary.
yes.
17. And I had to research this one, so I know I've got it right because I was quite surprised as well. 17. For which country did the furniture rattan come from? Rattan. You see them, you see them in films and things about, it's the white kind of woven furniture. And usually in It is also called historically Malaya cane or Malacca cane.
Long through there.
Right, near the traveling near to the end. 18. When was the can opener invented?
When was the
Can opener, CAN.
Oh, right.
I will give you 10 years either side.
Right.
The amusing thing about this, which I read, was the first cans were so thick and heavy that they had to be opened with a hammer and chisel. If the can was not sealed properly, the contents become putrid. So I was like, that interesting thought.
Right.
Do you know
Yes,
the
Happy.
episode in Three Men in the Boat where they discover they've forgotten the can opener?
Oh, yes. That's very funny. You wanted to ask something, Hattie?
No, I didn't.
Hattie.
Yeah. What did you say? God, I missed something that you said. The hammer and chisel. I got the hammer and chisel.
Yes, that was the first cans that were invented. They were so thick and heavy, they had to be opened with a hammer and chisel.
And then you said something else that went.
If they was not sealed properly, the contents become putrid.
Oh my.
Right. Number 19. When did Fry's launch the first mass-produced chocolate bar in Bristol? Because as you know, Fry's factory was in the middle of Bristol until they moved out to Keynsham. Number 20. Because we are all of a certain age, we would, I think, remember these. And it's an easy one, I think, to finish with. It's in two parts, so you need to get both parts to get your point. Who invented Smarties? And the other one of another company. Who invented Marathon chocolate bars? As I'm sure we all remember, probably trying to persuade their parents to buy them for us. I know I did with mine. Didn't get any, but
Smarties were wonderful though, because you could just have one and make it last. You could see how long it lasted for. There are lots of things you could do with them as well as eat them. Anyway, but I don't know who invented them. I'm afraid.
which company was it?
Just a company. I wonder.
Which company? Yeah.
Yes. Well, let's do that. Yes.
Smarties and Marathon.
Okay.
Right then, the answers. Dear fellows, to the last bit. Number 11 was who said, George, don't do that.
Joyce Grenfell.
Joyce Grenfell.
Yeah.
I told you you'd get it.
I know
Got one right anyway.
I know that so well, and yet it would not come to me, not throughout the whole of the 10 questions. I kept going back and I couldn't think of her.
Yeah,
It took me a long time to remember Grenfell. I got Joyce as soon as you did the, but took me a few minutes to reach Grenfell. Anyway.
There was she was such a wonderful comedian.
Oh, brilliant! Yes, yes. The intonation was perfect.
This was worth rereading or going online to see some of her sketches.
Yes.
They were just wonderful. Right. There we go. Number 12. Who wrote The Adventures of Tintin? And it used to start with Hergé's Adventures of Tintin.
I think no.
Did anyone get it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well done, Eddie.
Yeah.
And who sang the pop song Poker Face?
I'm sorry, I haven't a clue.
According to to a few younger people who I still know, it was a woman called Lady Gaga.
Oh, Lady Gaga. I've heard of her.
Yeah, I've heard of her. Yeah.
Never took any interest in any of her stuff, though.
Apparently, she sang that.
Okay.
And friends.
There's so many organisations in Euston Road. I don't know which is 173.
I've got an interesting answer to this, which Ray may not have thought to. If I could be considered an organisation, I could give the answer me.
Oh, right.
Yes, you could. You could. Yes, you could.
That was my address for 5 years.
Really?
Right.
It's Friend's House.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Friend's House in London. There's 173 Euston Road, London, MB1 2BJ.
Can I have BYM as the answer? Or
yes, we give you that. We give you that.
The organisation, not the name of the building.
Oh, yeah.
I actually wrote down Friends book. I actually wrote down Friends Bookshop. Do you think that would do?
Yes. Yes, that's accurate. Yeah.
How many cents are there in a dollar?
100.
100.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the easy one.
Oh.
How many nickels are there in a dollar?
1,000 then.
20.
100.
20.
Well done, that man.
Yeah.
For David, because having lived in America, I think he would have been the one who got it.
Well, no, but equally, there are 3 coins: the nickel, the dime, and the quarter.
Yeah.
Between the cent and the dollar.
And the nickel is come again?
Nickel is 5 cents.
Right.
They talk about nickeling and diming something, meaning
doing it on the cheap.
Yeah, doing it on the cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so dime is 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do I get? Do I get a half point for getting 10 cents?
Nothing unless we get them both, Ray said.
Needed both of them.
Yeah, a half.
No, cents is too easy.
Did you say 10, Patsy? It's 100 cents.
I did say 10 because I thought a nickel was a 10-cent piece.
All
there
right.
you go. Ignorant. Yeah.
Well, a dime is a 10-cent piece.
Ah, yeah. There you go then.
Buddy, can you lend me a dime? Which was a song from many years ago. Number 16. How old is the radio series The Archers?
75.
100.
75. It is 75 years old this year.
Right.
I know that because it was the year I was born. So,
Ah,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and if we want to be extremely precise, the first episode was broadcast on the 29th of May, 1950.
I
mm.
thought it started towards the end of the war. I was wrong.
How close do we have to be for a point?
Just 1950, basically. 75 would be the question I asked.
Yep.
Right, number 17. From which country did the furniture rattan come from?
Well, I
Okay.
wrote down Malaya, but then you gave the clues, which made it sound too obvious.
Sorry about that.
But was it
Yes,
Malaya?
Barney. Yes, Barney, it was Malaya. You know, so,
Oh, it was. Oh, I had Ceylon.
the British, when they were out there, brought lots of it back to England when they came back to England from government service, usually in places like that. You know?
Is it sort of equivalent to wicker, but a different material?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Makes very nice garden furniture.
Yes, you can see it in people's conservatories nowadays. You know, if they want to look very posh, they have.
I think it's made from stripped bamboo, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Is Malaya called something else now?
Well, it's Malaysia, includes various bits of Borneo as well, but Malaysia, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes. 18. When was the first can opener invented? And I was going to give you 10 years aside to the type of thing like that. And it was 1855.
Oh, bum. I put 1860 first of all.
I thought it was a bit earlier. I thought it was 1800.
But
Roughly, you know.
But Hattie, you're within 10 years, aren't you?
10 years.
Yeah, that was best.
Yeah, but then I kept rethinking it.
Oh, what did you put down at the end then?
1918.
Oh,
no.
It was
my first instinct was much righter. Yeah.
I really thought it would have been.
The other question I was going to ask, because I thought it was highly amusing, was when was the first tea bag invented?
Oh my God.
But they had tea bags, linen tea bags in use, I don't know, a couple of 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The first tea bags being used in, very superior homes because they were made of silk.
Ooh.
The very first ones.
Yeah.
And you refilled them, you didn't throw them away.
You had little ties at the top.
Yes.
You tie them up and then put them in your cup. It was, because tea being very, very, very expensive at that time, they used that. But I thought that one was going to be a bit naughty.
I think mostly.
So when was that then?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know it was, kind of when tea first came to England, which was.
I think the tea bags were fairly big and put in pots rather than small and put in cups.
As you had to be very, very wealthy, and you have people round for afternoon tea and cakes and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I'll quote, the first modern tea bags were commercially available around 1904. Tea bags. Roberta Lawson and Mary McLaren of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, filed a patent for a tea leaf holder in 1901. Well, there may have been bags before then, but it became commercial around 1900.
You also had mechanical ones, like two spoons clamped together, which you could press open, and you took a bite of out of the tea bag, and then you put it in your cup, and maybe in somebody else's cup as well, and empty it out. But that was metal.
I've still got one of those.
I use it.
but I didn't realize, I hadn't heard of using it in more than one cup. I didn't know that, but yeah. This is good. This is good. I think we ought to rename this the History Forum because I'm learning a lot. It's very good. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
Here's another history one then. When did Fry's launch the first mass-produced chocolate bar in Bristol?
I've got 1890, but I'm not sure.
I've got
No,
1800.
you're far too late then.
I had
really?
1800.
1866.
Oh,
Oh my!
long way out.
I had 1870.
Long way out.
Yes, but that's too.
So we're like it around there.
And where would you find Joseph Storrs Fry's memorial tablet, with Joseph Storrs Fry being the owner, managing director, and chairman of Fry's until 1913?
Bradford.
I don't know. Tell us, Barney.
You ought to know this, Ray.
Birmingham.
Bedminster Quaker Meeting House.
Ah, right. Right.
Forms part of our car park.
Oh yeah.
Right.
How about that then?
Some American visitor who may have been an ancestor or whatever you call it, an offspring of the Fry family or something, was very disappointed in the way we were treating such a important object when he came searching for it and found it, and I was able to show it to him. And,
oh my!
Not showing enough respect
For such a great man.
Descendants. Yeah.
I imagine he was a descendant or a researcher. I don't know.
The due reverence and all that lot. Yes, and the last one for today, which is, as I said, an easy one, really. Who invented Smarties?
That was a Roundtree.
That was a Roundtree. Definitely was a
was
Roundtree.
He employed people to do things for him, of course.
Who got that?
And which company invented Marathon bars?
I thought it was Cadbury, but maybe
it's Mars.
Is it Hershey?
Mars.
Mars.
Oh, Mars.
Points to the David.
It's very interesting. The Quaker chocolate makers virtually ran a cartel, a sort of corporate monopoly in chocolate, and kept up the price of chocolate, but didn't allow anyone to undercut. So they wouldn't allow any supermarkets or city centre shops to undercut the village stores or anything. So you bought your bar of chocolate for the same price everywhere, and they maintained that until Mars entered the market and could produce a chocolate in sufficient quantities to undercut them. They had a very nice earner there, and I think an understanding. I don't suppose there's anything in writing that they wouldn't undercut each other, because Roundtree and Cadbury actually used to go on holiday together.
Well, let's face it, they could probably afford to go anywhere.
Mars chocolate is quite good, only it's a higher proportion of, I think they were able to undercut Cadbury and Roundtree by having a larger proportion of sugar in their chocolate and less chocolate, but anyway.
The amusing question I sometimes ask people is, who is the largest charity giving organisation in England today?
Roundtree Foundation.
Roundtree Foundation.
Yeah.
they're still the biggest in giving funds to different organisations, which is quite surprising.
But there are 3 Rowntree charities. One is the Rowntree Charitable Trust. One is, I can't remember the name, and the other is the Joseph Rowntree Memorial Fund, which isn't a charity. Because it's not a charity, it has to pay tax on all its income. But because it's not a charity, it can give money to political activities.
Oh, yeah.
Presumably the one you're referring to, which I used to call it the Rowntree Foundation, is basically the housing one, which built New Earswick and Hartrigg Oaks.
That they are right. They have lots and lots and lots of money. I talked about sweets, and they just hold on for 2 seconds. Like me, slightly interested in historical things. This is a book by a chap called Nicholas Wichita, which, if you're interested in sweets, I would recommend this book because it is very, very good. It's very historical, and it's a sort of things that I remember when I was growing up, type of thing, And it also takes a history of sweets, going back to kind of many, many, many years, and that's the title of the author,
Whitaker.
And I would highly recommend it to it's a bit hard to get hold of these days, but
if you can
yes, the course
see this through the mist. This is written by Deborah Cadbury, who isn't a descendant of the Cadburys, but is married to one, and she's written about the history of chocolate, basically. And there's just a little addendum at the end about the takeover of Cadbury's by a multinational. That's how far it comes up into the recent. But I don't think it covers the treachery of them making promises and then not keeping them. But this is fascinating because it shows the murky waters in which Quakers were swimming, and some of the slightly dubious activities they're up to.
Let's hope they're giving all the money away these days. They probably are.
Well, I've never been quite sure what Fry did with his money, but according to Deborah Cadbury, his main interest in life was not making chocolate. His main interest in life was getting the Bible translated into all the languages in the world so that all the little black babies could be christened as Christians. Well, not as christened because he was a Quaker, but he was an evangelical and he was into missionary work and biblical translation of the Bible into other languages, I think, is probably where his money went. The Cadbury money and the Rowntree money, as say, was put into trust funds which outlasted them.
Well, that's good news anyway.
Well, I hope we all enjoyed that gamble from the recesses of this friend's head occasionally, and it was a bit of whimsy, I think.
Yeah, great fun. Well done putting that together, Ray. It was.
I did very badly on the second half.
Oh,
You only got 9, did you?
4.
no,
Well,
I got 3.
Let me make you feel better. I got 2.
I thought I did badly, but if I did as well as Barney, I'm all right. I got 4, but my score is still only 10.
Well, I wish I'd left 1860 as the can opener.
Yeah, I spent 5 years as sort of caretaker. They call it warden at friend's house in London, living in a flat over the shop, so to speak.
Ah, I did not know
Great,
that.
great place to live.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was quite good, and for us, sort of I quite like that sort of work, which is why I subsequently done other residential jobs with Quakers, and I'm hover around Bedminster Meeting House most of the time, even though I'm not paid to.
Yeah, because you live virtually next door, don't you?
Oh, I am. Yes, I can see it from my window. See what people are up to in the garden, and there's a lasting memorial to me at Friend's house, which you won't see very obviously because it's behind a glazed door, I think. But on the above the ceiling of the small meeting house, which probably has a different name to it now, I don't know, I keep changing things. That's where the flat and the roof garden to the flat was.
Wow.
It had the roof garden was in a sort of canyon. It had 2-story walls either side of it, but the light got down to it in summer. And I built raised beds on that roof garden, which survive to this day. So those were built around 1980, and they're still intact and still sometimes they've been used for growing herbs for the restaurant, various other uses.
Wow.
That would make an interesting talk in itself. The history of the Friends Meeting House and the bookshop put together. I would find that really interesting.
But Barney is a little bit modest in the fact of another job which he did, which was a gardener at Woodbrook, which he stayed for a few years.
That must have been wonderful.
That is the main thing I did in my life. I think the thing which I would, if I'm remembered for anything, it's for being the gardener at Woodbrook, and that was one time when I was really a what do you call a square peg in a square hole.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
I'm a poor gardener, but I can imagine what it was like to be like, it must have been wonderful. That's a fantastic garden. What's actually happened to the gardens at Woodbrook now?
Not much, in that they are now, the building's been taken over by the Bourneville Village Housing Trust, who are the beneficiaries of the trust if it ever folded for its principal purpose. And they've had difficulty in repurposing the whole site, and it's sort of limping on with some of the flats, some of the rooms let off under, they've got a new word for it. Is it not caretaker, governor? There's a new housing category for where people, it's a bit like licensed squatting, except it's done by individual. And so and they're using it for short-term housing for people moving to Birmingham or something. But so they've got people living in it, and they're also using the conference rooms for conferences and things. But they're not quite sure that's a permanent life for it. It's ticking over, and I imagine there's very little care of the garden gone on. The gardener who was employed there was given notice, and the garden is cared for by the Bourneville Village Housing Trust's grounds staff.
Right.
Insofar as they care for it, I don't know.
Oh, it's such a wonderful place. Sorry.
A luxury Quakers could never afford.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Oh. Well, thanks. Honestly, Ray, I thought that was great. Although I did really badly, 4 out of 20, I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is the main thing. It also made me realise I need to do a little bit more work on my memory.
It was, kind of a fun thing, which I must admit took me a couple of afternoons to do, but with great enjoyment, because I do enjoy doing things like that. The kind of the quirkier side of things. Like as in where the first can opener and the first cans for so hammer and chisel on them, you know.
Yeah, but it makes you think, though. You know, that's good.
Anyway, that is me and us for today. So I think, Patsy, you're going to have words with David and Barney.
Well, before that, though, we need to say next week.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I always get this wrong, don't I? You have
No,
to
not
remind me
only
every time.
occasionally. Very occasionally.
I'm very happy to be reminded. He said very quickly. Right. It's Jenny Smith, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Patsy is going to be having words with Jenny Smith, which is always an interesting time because she's had such a different life.
Yeah.
Interesting, in Germany and in other places, and with the Bristol City Council being a thorn in the side of Bristol City Council, which they need constantly to be kept up to the mark. So do come and listen to that one. It's going to should be quite interesting, quite revealing.
Thank you. It's true. I am going to have a quick word with David and Barney.